Hey y'all, so today we're reviewing Love Can't Feed You by Cherry Lou Spi. So I'm going to give you guys a summary. I'm going to talk about some themes that it brings up, maybe some book club discussions, and then I'm going to tell y'all my opinion. So in a summary, we're following a young woman that is 17. It is a coming of age of story, so we're watching her go from 17 to about 22. She's a person of color. She is half Filipino and Chinese. She's half. So she's mixed race. She's those two things. And we're watching her come to America to meet with her mother, who has been here for several years as a legal immigrant. And her and the rest of her family are illegal immigrants. And we're just watching her intertwine with American culture. And we're also watching her come of age. That's a summary. And we also watching, her father, who has been in his country for his entire life. He's in, I believe, in his late 60s, early 70s when he entered America, and also her younger brother, who is 8 at the time that they arrive in America. So it's a coming to America story and also a coming of age story. So we're watching all of these things happen at once. First and foremost, I think the writer did a great job. I love the writing style of this. Cherry, I love her writing style. I felt like I knew the characters based on the two or three sentences she gave them, whether they were a main character or a supporting character. I felt like I knew them. Even with the people like, I'm trying to think, like Michelle, who, if you read the book, you'll know who that is. I felt like I knew that character based on the two to three, four, five sentences that she gave her. The writing style I enjoyed. I enjoyed it just being a couple sentences on the page every now and then, and it's just catching us up on whatever's happening with whatever character, and then we can jump back into our main character because it let us kind of still know what was going on with other people while we was focused on this main person. So I enjoyed that a lot. Ultimately, y'all, I enjoyed the book. I really did. As a black person, and it may just be me, I'm always speaking from my perspective. I don't usually think about people of color. It doesn't cross my mind. Someone that has grown up in the hood. I grew up near the hood, around the hood, however you want to say it, not directly in it, but around it. So the only experience I have with people of color is the experience that she kind of talks about. Maybe a Chinese restaurant or a corner store, things like that. And I guess in those spaces, you don't think that those people are trying to survive as well. They're not there because they want to be. And she kind of touches on that when one of the Yan, who is our main character's Queenie's best friend, speaks on what it would be like if the restaurant that they have was in a upper class neighborhood or whatnot. And I've kind of tiptoed around the summary, so let me backtrack. So the story is following Queenie. Queenie is a young girl. She's 17 at the time we meet her. We also are introduced to her younger brother Junior, and we're introduced to her father, which I don't think we get his name, so we're going to call him Papa. So Junior is 8 at the time, and they're moving to America to be with her mother, who we later know is male, but originally we know her as Mom. And she's been in America for a while. She's a RN. She's working and she's supporting everything, and she also took out a small loan from a woman that she works for to bring her family over. So when she brings her family over, the first thing she greets the family with is, "Y'all got to work. We have to pay back this lady that I got borrowed money from to get you guys over here." And she was speaking to, of course, the father and Queenie. So Queenie eventually has to go work for a family as pretty much, you might as well say, a home health aid. Yeah, home health aid. So she's doing things that a home health aid would do, which is help clean a person, give medicine, feed, talk to, read, all those good things. And along Queenie's journey, we are introduced to many more people that she intertwines with. This book was surprising in its end. I enjoyed it. It touched on a lot of things. So let's talk about some of the topics that can be discussed in a book club because it's important. Illegal immigration versus legal immigration can be talked about. Sex work can be talked about. Classism can be talked about. Mother-daughter relationship can be talked about. Parenthood can be talked about. Americanized can be talked about. That's when people come over from a different culture and then they assume the personality of someone that was born here. That can be talked about. Um, we can also just talk about age gap because it touches on that. I think it took me a long time to do a book review for this, A, because I keep effing up my words, and B, because it just touches on so many things. Because we're introduced to Mel, who is Queenie's mom, who has a relationship with the older man. And her relationship with the older man just did not pan out how she expected it to. She expected to live in a comfortable lifestyle because she thought he was Chinese and in the Philippines. to one being Chinese meant that they came from money. And here she is, got with a Chinese man, and he has no money. He just has a surname of a Chinese family, and that's about it. He actually grew up in the Philippines too. So she's thinking she's marrying to money, and she's not. And he's twice her age. So we see resentment in this relationship, and we'll see this in relationships in today's time. When the person that you're choosing to be with do not provide you the lifestyle that you thought you were going to get. So it touches on that. It touches on the man wanting a younger woman and why. And he kind of speaks on that. He kind of the papa, her father kind of speaks on, he I guess in his mindset, he didn't think she would change. He thought she would stay a young girl that was naive and then know better and would see him as a hero. But as a man saving a woman, you have to understand that one day she may learn to swim. She may get tired of drowning and say, you know what, I want to learn to swim, rather it to be to relieve my partner of the stress or whatever. But she may just start doing that. And that's exactly what happens in this story. And we also follow Queenie, who's just confused. Her mother doesn't really pay her any attention besides just work, 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 work. Her younger brother is becoming an American. He's coming here at 8. He's being introduced to technology and just a luxury lifestyle, rather we Americans recognize it or not. Coming home and sitting in air conditioning and taking hot baths is like light years away from a lot of people reality. So things we take for granted are a luxury to others. And he's coming into this at 8 years old. So to him, he's American, and we're kind of see him push back against his mom because his mom haven't raised him, right? He's been there with his mom. He was with his sister and his dad, and now he's in America, and she's still always working, and she's angry because the dad isn't doing enough, but he doesn't really know what to do because once upon a time he was the man. But it's shady deals and things like that, it fell apart, and now he's kind of at the mercy of his wife, who no longer respects him. She no longer respects him. So yeah, we're kind of watching that play out in real time. Then we have Queenie, who is just a young girl, and she's right at the age that a lot of people would like to say that their daughters are independent, but she's needing her mother. It's perfect timing for her to come to America, but her mother doesn't recognize it and only wants her to work to pay off the debt. So she sends Queenie to work for a lady by the name of Miss Floor, who is the daughter of Miss Beatrice, who Queenie has to take care of because she's older in age. Upon taking care of Miss Beatrice, she meets Miss Beatrice's grandson, who is Miss Floor's son, Zeus. Zeus is living a totally different life, right? I don't want to say his race because I don't necessarily remember, but he has wealth, right? So he see this young girl, he's curious about her. He's either Chinese, I believe he's Chinese, or he may be Filipino, but he sees her, he's interested in her, he likes her, he's flirting with her, and his mama is not going for it. She pulls Queenie aside. She sees the way he's looking at her, and she pays her. She says, "Hey, I don't want you to come back here." And Queenie says, "Okay," because what am I fighting? I have no access to this person beyond this place of employment, and ultimately you're firing me either way, so I might as well accept the money, and that's what she does. She takes that money and goes home, and she doesn't speak to Zeus anymore. He's calling her, he's trying to get in contact with her, but of course she's kind of annoying him because your mom already said what she wants. I already accepted this money. She didn't necessarily agree to never see him again, but it is what it is. It's literally one of those types of situations. So times goes on, and eventually she does have a first date with Zeus, and she f's it up, y'all. She's doing the most. He's genuinely liking her, and she is being too forward. She's letting her mother's past influence her in this moment, thinking that she has to give a lot to receive something, and he's not asking for her that, but that's what she's doing. And ultimately, he's turned off like, you're being too forward, this is too much, and he leaves. And we don't hear from him in a long time. In the meantime, we have already been introduced to her friend Yan, who we later found out is gay, and his parents aren't going for it, his father in particular. His father picks him out the house. He doesn't know what to do. However, he's been doing some sexual favors for some men, and eventually once tell him, hey, you can stay here in a secondary apartment that he has. When we talk about book club discussions, we can also talk about prostitution, which is sex work, and we also can talk about the secrecy of the double lives, the men going home to wives and having a young man in the corner, because this is what it brings up. At first, Queenie is shocked, but then she's curious because at this point, her mom is unsupportive of her. Her dad is angry. Her younger brother is American. She's lost, so she's curious and she doesn't know her worth. So she goes to find it in sex work in a way to feel alive. She does find out that that's not her path, but she's introduced to people along the way, such as Marsha. who is a woman that is showing her what it is to be feminine, to be soft, to love luxury, and not to just see it as something unattainable, but to really get close to it and put the bracelets on and see how you feel, and wear the scarf and see how you look at yourself, just to get next to that feeling. And Marsha is a very important character because that's where our story ends. Our story ends with her in a relationship almost with Marsha. We got this woman who's introduced her to more, into respecting herself more, loving herself more, and seeing herself in a new life. But Queenie has had a journey, right? She's had this big journey. And I don't know, this book was just so good. It was a 2 day read, y'all, and really I could have finished it in a day. But somebody that kind of procrastinate, that is a great thing for me. 2 days. I love the writing style. I love the story. It definitely gave me an insight on people of color as a black woman from the hood, around the hood. It's not something I think about on a daily basis. And this it really had me thinking different. And it also made me think about the sex work that people of color may endure just to make it in this country. And the lines of work that we see them in may not be the lines of work that they want to do. It's just something that they're taught over and over again. We hear about people from the Philippines saying, hey, you should be a nurse, 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 because to them that is a stable, steady income. And also from her mama point of view, oh my God, so many great discussions can be had about what it means to become a woman, and that's no longer being, for men or just wanting to be in a relationship in the sake of survival. What we are witnessing is her mother coming out of survival mode and wanting to be in love, wanting to be softer, wanting to be heard. And ultimately she gets that, but she gets it at the expense of her children, which is never okay, right? But then we also learned that Queenie was just an accident, and it just happened, and they kind of rolled with the punches, and she married the woman that she thought, she married the man that she thought would save her from her circumstances at the time, which a lot of women do regardless of their race. She got with a man that she thought would take her out of that situation and save her, and that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. And then we kind of see him getting angry that this young girl that he groomed is now older, and she's thinking now, and she has her own thoughts and her own plans, and how dare she. So we kind of seeing that play out, and we're seeing the brother who's grown a disrespect for his mother and father, because his father isn't a man in his eyes, and his mother is always at work. So he doesn't respect neither one of them, but they can't control him, right? Because if he don't respect them, he can't control them. Which we see in America, we see a lot of sons disrespect their mothers after a certain age, and ultimately it's because that mother is at work, so they feel like they can do whatever, or she's not here anyway. It's internalized. So what she does is send him off, and I would love a follow up book that follows the journey of Junior, because he left, right? He left, and eventually he's signing up to go into the military. But he leaves at, I don't know how old, but honestly, as a mother, I would have sent him to. It was nothing she could do. At a certain age, it's nothing you could do. So I understood, but yes, 10 out of 10, I recommend. It was a great book, y'all. It's a great read. I recommend it for everyone. It is so many conversations that can be had within this book. I really, yeah. Will I buy it? Yes. Will it be added to the bookshelf? Yes. Yes. And this is my first person of color book that will be added to my bookshelf. I definitely recommend it. Love Can't Feed You. And it's titled this because we hear Queenie mother's male eventually telling her. And then in a moment, y'all, she eventually tell Queenie that she did marry her father for money. I married him for money. I married him because I thought he would secure a future. Once I knew I was pregnant with you, I wanted to secure a future, and he wasn't able to do that. It brings us so many conversations. I could talk to y'all forever about so many things, but read the book, y'all. It will be bought.